When the thing you trust most breaks, what saves you, truth or hope? I will not answer too fast because the answer is not a slogan, and you deserve better than a slogan. Stay with me, and by the end you will walk away with a way to hold pain without letting it run your life. You will also get a story so messy and human that you might recognize a piece of your own week in it. We begin on a wet Thursday in a small New England town, where the church smells like smoke and lemon cleaner. Eden is on her knees with a scraper and a rag, and she is peeling candle wax off a floor that once looked perfect. There is siren noise somewhere far, and the lights flicker, and the town whispers the way towns do when they are bored and hungry. Across the river, Jonah drives home in a battered pickup, and he keeps passing the same thought like a toll booth he does not want to pay. He has a half-written email on his phone that starts with the words "I need to tell you," and he keeps deleting those words before he gets to the truth. Mara is at the hospital, and she is drawing medication with steady hands, and the night shift jokes land around her like soft stones. Cal is at the parish hall, and he plays 4 bars of a song, and he stops, and he plays them again because he is not ready for the next chord. The town has a rule that is not written but everyone knows it. They do not say the word affair, they say the word mistake. Mistake sounds like coffee on a white shirt, not like a house fire, and that is the point. Eden and Cal ended what they started 3 weeks ago and told no one, but silence is a cheap lock in a town full of spare keys. A short circuit in a storage closet melted a heap of old candles and left a skin of wax on the floor, and it left the smell of smoke in the pews. The smoke smell travels to people faster than truth ever does. Jonah reaches the driveway and sees the car door open and Eden asleep with her head on the wheel, and he stands there with his hands in his pockets because love can feel like a trap and a home at the same time. He wants to shake her awake and he wants to let her sleep, and both wants feel honest. Mara works a double, and on her break she scrolls through a feed full of weddings and recipes and humble brags, and she stops on an ad for candles made from ocean plastic. She does not smile, but an idea slips into her mind like a well-timed breath. Mara texts Jonah later with a sentence that does not sound like a truce, but it is one.
There is a lot of ruined candle wax at the church, and I know how to filter it, and you know how to sell things people can touch, and we could pay down debt and stay sane.
Jonah looks at the text and hears the quiet math in it, because money is a language that makes sense when emotions do not. He writes back with a word that is not dramatic but full of life.
Yes.
They call the little kitchen table business Second Light because the name is simple, and simple is what they need. The idea is clean: melt smoke-stained wax, filter it to clear, pour it into small glass jars, add a cotton wick and a label. The label says Second Light, burn what is left, see what remains, and it sounds like healing without sounding like poetry, which is perfect for a table at a craft fair. Eden offers to pay for the first booth fee and Mara says fine, and they both know money is a better apology than a long speech. The first fair is at a school gym where the air smells like popcorn and floor polish, and a banner says Welcome Makers, which is sweet and a little sad. People walk by the table and glance at the jars and then look at Eden as if she has a label too. A man in cargo shorts asks if the candles are soy or beeswax, and Eden says mixed reclaimed, and the man nods like that is a moral test he has passed. Sales are slow, like a tap that needs 2 more turns, and then a storm takes down the power, and the gym goes dark, and every booth owner swears in their head. Mara takes a box cutter, opens a case of jars, strikes a lighter, and sets a dozen flames in a line that looks like a runway. The room warms, people gather, and the smell is clean and quiet, and someone says this is cozy, and someone else says I want 4. The table sells out in 20 minutes, and the gym claps for no one in particular, which is the best kind of applause. Hope arrives in a plain coat and sits at the table like a shy guest. That night, a small lifestyle blog posts a photo of the candles and tags the town, and orders trickle in with notes that sound like small prayers. One says, "For my brother after rehab," and one says, "For our kitchen after a hard talk," and one says, "For me because I forgot I can start again." Jonah records a short video in the workshop, and he says they rescued wax from a church after an electrical scare, and he leaves out the parts that do not sell, which is exactly the problem. Eden feels her chest go tight at that clean story, and she does not correct it, and that choice feels like washing a glass but leaving one thumbprint. Cal writes a song that is not a confession, not yet, and the chorus changes from minor to major on the word after, and the parish livestream shares it, and the comments are the usual stew. People ask who hurt you and who did you hurt, and someone writes no names please and then tries to guess 4 names in a row. The town is a cat with a new noise to chase. A teenager Eden once counseled comes by the candle booth and talks to customers with a bright, fast voice, and she becomes the best salesperson without trying. She asks Eden later for advice, and she asks in a whisper because advice tastes better that way.
If I take a scholarship out of state, my boyfriend will beg me to stay, and I do love him, and I also love not being stuck, so what is the honest way through?
Eden tells her the answer that costs something. She says to go, and to tell him the truth, and to let him be angry, and to not make herself small to keep him safe, and the girl nods and cries and buys a candle and says she will sell 2 more. The girl posts later about a counselor who told her the hard truth, and the post travels like a small river and lifts sails for a week. At the next fair, a rival vendor spreads a rumor that Second Light melts stolen church candles, and this is a lie, but lies have good legs. Mara walks to the rival table and stands with the posture of a nurse who has seen worse and is not in the mood for small games.
We paid for the wax, and I have receipts, and if you want a refund we can do that, but it will need to come out of your pocket.
The rival vendor looks at the floor as if it might defend her, and it does not. The rumor does not die, it just gets bored, and that is good enough for now. The blog wants a video and asks for a human interest angle, and Jonah has a choice that tastes like metal. He can keep the clean story and feed hope with pretty pictures, or he can tell the messy story and risk the little income that pays the mortgage and calms the nights. He chooses the clean version and tells himself that he will say the truth next month, and next month is a bridge that keeps moving. Cal sits with a priest and says the thing he does not want to say, and he calls it sin because he grew up with that word, and the priest says repair is not the same as secrecy. Cal goes home and tells Mara, and she listens without flinching, and then she goes to the sink and washes her hands because some acts need a physical end.
We will finish this week's orders, and after that we will talk, and after that I will decide what my life will look like, and you will not decide for me.
Cal nods because he has no other honest move. Mara texts Eden and sets a time to meet, and Eden reads it with a quiet nausea that feels like standing on a dock in hard wind. The next fair is in a hall with wood panels and a stage, and the rival vendor arrives early and drops hints like crumbs. She says someone in town has been busy in the dark, and she says some candles come from melted guilt, and the room learns what it wanted to know. Silence moves across the floor and up the walls and into the rafters, and Eden looks at her shoes because she does not trust her face yet. Jonah opens his mouth and then closes it, and Mara steps forward with a voice that is quiet and strong.
We made light from a mess, and if you only buy perfect things from perfect people you will shop in the dark for a very long time.
Half the room leaves because a clean story is easier to carry, and half the room stays because truth makes the air sharp and real. Sales that day are not good, and they are not a disaster, and this is what most days are when you insist on honesty. That night Jonah turns on a camera in the workshop, and he speaks with the sawdust on his sleeves and no music and no cutaways.
We started this to survive, and we kept a clean story because clean sells, and I do not want clean anymore, and I want true, and we hurt people, and we are trying to make good light from bad wax, and if that offends you I understand.
He posts the video and he and Eden blow out every test candle and sit in the dark, and the dark feels like a truthful room. Orders drop for a few days and then return, not huge, just steady, and many come with simple notes, and the notes do not ask for drama. They say things like for a friend after divorce, and for a kitchen after a layoff, and for my dad after the bad news, and for our bedroom after we finally talked. The business stands on shorter legs but stronger ones, and it learns to walk like that. The church committee debates whether to ban vendors tied to scandal, which is a funny sentence if you think about human history, and they settle on a compromise. Second Light can sell at the winter market if Eden and Cal are never at the table at the same time, and this sounds childish and it is also workable. Cal hears a deacon make a joke at Mara's expense in a parking lot, and he hears the joke land like a spit on concrete, and he decides to be more than a boy with a guitar.
You do not get to use my mistake to make my wife smaller, and you can hold me to account without dragging her, and that is the deal if you want to talk to me.
The deacon tries to smile and cannot find where he put it, and the conversation ends. Eden and Mara meet in a coffee shop with mismatched chairs, and the room is busy enough to feel safe.
I am not here to make you the villain of a play in my head, and I am here to draw a line I can live with, and my boundary is a year of separation and shared ownership of the business, and after a year I will decide again.
Eden nods and thanks her without asking for mercy, and that is the right tone for this scene. The winter market arrives with strings of white lights and cinnamon in the air and a carol that always sounds a little too cheerful, and the Second Light booth is simple and solid. Eden works the early hours, and she makes change and small talk and lets people see she is okay with being seen, which is a kind of penance and a kind of peace. Jonah stands next to her and speaks when needed, and sometimes he just stands, and that is a skill too. Cal plays the closing set, and his voice is clear and steady, and he thanks the person who taught him a simple law of flame without saying a name.
I learned that hope without truth is like fire without air, because it looks pretty for a moment and then it dies, and I am done with pretty that dies.
Eden hears the words from outside in the snow and does not go in, and that is the correct distance for now. Jonah and Eden go to counseling, and they take off their rings and they place them in the candle drawer, and the rings sit there with the wicks and the labels like little coins for a future toll. They are not ending, they are changing shape, and they are doing it slow on purpose. Second Light keeps the tagline but changes the website, and the first page now tells the real story in plain lines with no flourishes. The story is not a sales trick now, it is a map. People write to say they lit a jar after saying something hard or after hearing something hard, and the flame did not fix anything, and it did give them a way to sit with the mess without drowning. I want you to have a moment like that now, even if you do not have a candle near you, because rituals work with or without props. Take a breath and name one thing that broke in your life that you still care about, and do not dress it up, and just name it. Now name one small good that still exists inside that same life, and do not inflate it, and make it modest and real, and say it. That is your Second Light minute, and you can do it anywhere, and it will not change the past, and it will change your grip on the past. The town does not become a utopia after one winter, and gossip still wakes up early and does laps, and hope still has to stretch before it runs. Eden learns to live with both her guilt and her good parts in the same room, and this is a daily practice that gets easier but never easy. Jonah learns that telling the truth late is better than never, and he learns to tell it sooner next time, which is growth that looks boring and is huge. Mara learns that boundaries are not walls, they are doors she chooses when to open, and she learns that strength can look like walking away and also like sitting at a table to sign invoices. Cal learns to make amends without making the amends about him, and this is a whole subject most songs skip. The town learns what every group has to learn, which is that perfection is a costume that tears at the seams when it rains. There are more fairs, and there are more orders, and there are more quiet nights where the workshop smells like wax and cedar and coffee gone cold. There are also setbacks because life does not care about neat arcs, and once a batch of wicks burns uneven and customers complain, and they fix it and send replacements with a short note. The note says we are sorry and we are learning, and people write back with praise like they just saw a rare bird. Honesty still surprises people, which is useful to remember when you are selling anything at all, even trust. The teenager leaves for school and sends a message from a dorm room with a brick wall view and a bright grin.
I left and he got mad, and then he got quiet, and then he said I want to be the kind of person who cheers for you. And I said good, because I am going to be that kind of person for me.
Eden reads the message and sits very still and then keeps packing boxes because life and meaning often share the same table. People start to gift second light jars for occasions that the calendar does not recognize, like the day someone decides to stop lying to a sister, or the night someone throws out a box of letters they kept for the wrong reason. The brand becomes less a product and more a practice, and this is not a slogan, it is a set of choices. You might be asking where the big fireworks ending is, and I respect that question, and I will give you a quiet answer. Life mostly changes by inches, and those inches add up after a year, and when you look back you see a different room and the same people, and both facts are true. The hero's journey is not a mountaintop, it is a workshop with a broom and a ledger and a drawer with 2 rings. The opening question is ready to be answered now, and I promised you no slogan, so here is a sentence that is plain and strong. When what you trust breaks, you do not have to choose between truth and hope, because the only hope that lasts is built on truth, one small flame at a time. That is the moral dressed in work clothes, and it will hold if you lean on it. If you want to test it today, pick one small place to tell a clean truth, and then do one small thing that points toward a better next hour, and that is all. Let me drop a few last scenes because you come here for story and also for nerve. A man returns a ring not because he is done, but because he wants to restart like adults, and his voice does not shake, and that matters. A woman says I am not ready to forgive you, and I am ready to be fair, and she means both lines equally. A boy with a guitar learns to play for rooms where half the people wish him well and half do not, and he plays anyway, not to win them, but to be honest out loud. A town buys candles from a booth that does not pretend to be holy, and they light them at kitchen tables when they need some air. The air is not magic, and it is honest, and honest air changes how people breathe. That is enough miracles for 1 week in a place like this. I know some of you came for gossip and got a lesson by accident, and that is fine because the world runs on both. You can call this story scandal, or you can call it service, and both names work if they make you pay attention. Before I let you go, I want to speak to the part of you that is tired and still trying, and I want to speak to it with respect. You are allowed to build something good out of what you broke, and you are allowed to do it slowly, and you are allowed to be seen doing it. You do not owe anyone a perfect story, you owe the people you love a true one, and you owe yourself a chance to make second light. If this broke something open in you, then write one line to yourself tonight and light a small flame, even if it is only on your phone screen, and sit with it for 1 minute, and breathe. I will close with the same simple truth that has carried this whole ride, and it is short because short things stick. Burn what is left, see what remains, and build from there. Thank you for listening all the way, and I mean that, because attention is the real currency and you spent yours here. If you liked this, tap the like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment with one small second light you plan to try this week. If you want to support this channel, use the QR code on the screen or the link in the description to send a donation, and it keeps these stories alive. In the description you will also find links to other series that live in a very different world from this one, and they are waiting for you when you want a new path to walk. I am glad you were here, and I hope you come back for the next story, and until then keep your flame honest and small enough to carry.